Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So last week I did the xfce Showdown, where somebody asked to see the differences there between Linux Mint xfce and Linux Lite, also running xfce. So in the comment of that video, somebody had asked for another video which looked at Linux Mint Mate versus Linux Mint Cinnamon. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a look at these distros. So I am actually a trained scientist. Be careful. So in the interest of scientific endeavor, I will have to throw my disclosures on the table. And key disclosure is that Linux Mint Cinnamon is my primary go-to distro. So we have I will potentially have a little bias there. And the second factor is that since I'm already running a computer on Linux Mint Cinnamon, I'm not spinning that up in a virtual box. So the Linux Mint Mate will be running in a virtual box and the Linux Mint Cinnamon will not. So those are going to be some of the things. However, all of that being said, I didn't notice any real issues on either system. They're both fast, they're both snappy, mostly owing to the fact that I'm recording this on the big supercomputer, and so, well, not supercomputer, but as far as this office is concerned, this computer is pretty beefy. So we'll go ahead and get down to this guy here. I think I've gotten all those disclosures out of the way, so let's just go ahead and transition. So here we're looking at the desktop for my Linux Mint Cinnamon computer. These nice icons here, these images will change every, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And I built these wallpapers here in Blender. So there are 3 of them, so you will probably see, hopefully we'll see a few of them as we're going through here. First thing we want to just have a quick look at, now the software is going to be very similar, obviously. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to pull up. It's not a fair comparison at all. This is telling me that Cinnamon is running at 1.3 gigabytes. Of course, I'm recording HD video as we do this, so that's not the best indication. Cinnamon usually runs around 700 or so megabytes when you're not doing anything on it. Mate is going to be a little bit lighter than that. Of course, I start talking, so who shows up but the kitty? Hi, people. How are you? All right. So the kitty's back. All right. So as far as the software is concerned, we have, Linux Mint is one of the reasons it's my favorite is owing to the stability. The fact everything works out of the box, I generally don't have to mess with anything, and it has a lot of tools enabled. So, Archive Manager, Calculator, Character Map. These are actually kind of useful things. Disk Utility, PDF for Document Viewer, Font Viewer is nice. So there's there's a lot of tools on here that make it a very nice system there. There you go. Look at the kitty. So that's one of the reasons I like Linux Mint is because it has the all of the various tools. As far as this is concerned, let's see. I'm trying to think of what software I might have installed that was not initially installed on the computer. I think pretty much the only things were Kdenlive, GUCV, OBS, Simple Screen Recorder. I think those are the things that I had put onto the system myself, and everything else comes on the system. One of the things that I like better on Cinnamon is if you are a brand new user to Linux, I think that the Cinnamon desktop is a little bit more intuitive than Mate on some things. For example, your customization. If I want to do some customizations here, I can go to the main settings panel, and inside of your main settings panel, I can do my themes by coming over here, and you can see that I have the option to control each of these options independently. So Mate has all of these option differences, but they're in a couple of different places. And so with that being said, it makes it that there's not quite as much unity in figuring out how to customize the system to your liking. And I cannot remember, I'm probably wrong about this, but I didn't, on my real quick lookup as I was installing Mate, I did not see one unified place for settings. I'm guessing I probably just missed it. But here I knew it was pretty easy. So here you can see here, briefly, there's the 3 images that I have. So we do have a very nice unified settings panel here that allows us to see all of the things, make all of the changes to the platform. As far as customizing your desktop location, I like some of the things that I like about it is the ability to edit the panel as a whole. So if I right click on the panel and turn on the panel edit mode, I now have the ability to make adjustments to the panel. And so over here is your launchers. I was looking for the configurable button there to get things configured. This guy here might be a little bug in the system. I've never actually encountered that before. It might be an artifact of recording video that these guys are hanging out still. I've never actually seen that. But as far as things are concerned, I can just now grab items and drag them around, which makes it a little bit easier to mess around with things. And you can see here, and this is what I was trying to show, is that the launcher itself will actually allow you to configure multiple different items. And I was looking for where it is over there. I thought that's where it was. I'm just kind of missing my location. There's a step I'm forgetting about because I had foolishly assumed I remember everything I need to remember. But you should be able to add the launchers individually. But another thing that is very handy, we turn off my edit mode. The other thing that's very handy is if I load up a program, I have the option to drop it. Let's see. I thought I had the option to drop it directly into the panels there. Oh, I think that was to the menu actually. Oh no. Leave me alone. Yeah, that's it. It's adding. It's through the menu there. This is again something I don't do every single day because I got my desktop configured how I really like it, and then from there I just kind of work with it. So, but if you come in here and right click on a program, you can add it to the panel. You can add it to the desktop. You can add it to your favorites, which is the bar over here. And you can see here that it added to the desktop, but we'd have to configure the fonts a little bit there. Again, these guys here down here are sticking around. I think that's because I'm recording the video. I've never seen those stick around before. And they're certainly old artifacts. All right. So that is just a little bit on the Linux Mint, and if there's anything else I'm forgetting, actually let me show you something else here. It was actually in the themes, because one of the things that I specifically did on my Mate version is I went ahead and themed it up much like this one. To change your icons, you can just come over here and switch your icons around. So that's how quick it is to change them. And I like the GNOME icons the best. Here's your button options, so you can change your buttons around. I'm not quite sure why, but Mint Y Darker is the lighter one, and Mint Y Dark is the darker one. Your mouse pointer is here, and your overall desktop environment you can set over here as well. And which, of course, I'm using Glass Mint, I think it's called. So you can change your desktop environments around like this. All right. So we're going to boot up the Mate desktop now in the VirtualBox. So we're going to open this up, and just to show you, I have 128 megabytes of video memory, 3D acceleration, 4 processor cores, 8 gigs of RAM on this, and it is running my Linux Mint Mate. Looks like we're going to have those little guys there bothering us the whole time. So what I'm actually going to do is stop the video, get that resolved, and restart it. And we are back. So the challenge, the problem that I was incurring with those, let me show you the problem and the fix. Must be a little bug. If you are in the panel edit mode on Cinnamon and you right click one of these, we get the 2 pop-ups. We get a pop-up about configuring the panel launcher, and then we get another pop-up here for the actual Firefox icon, and in this case it's for the Chromium icon. Well, those never go away because while both guys pop up, only one of them actually triggers, and so the pop down does not trigger. It's these are actually done in like a JavaScript coding, and the basically the document got messed up. So the fix for that is actually just to turn off panel setting mode, right click on each of those again, and then they go away. So that's not what I was looking for there. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is I was forgetting how to add other items. And if you right-click any item here, you'll get a few other items. And under Preferences and under Options, we have the ability to launch or to add or to edit or to remove. So under Add, this is where we can add anything else. So if I want to add Thunderbird, I can do this. And you can search for the program, or you can just type in the command. The downside on Linux Mint is it does not automatically give you your icons, and so you have to go hunt for them. And let's see, we're just going to see if I can find Thunderbird somewhere. This part here can be the weird part, is trying to figure out where your individual program thumbnails are at. And I may not take the time to look for them all. Just look in a couple spots here. So this is one of those huge limitations to Cinnamon. And Mate actually links the program directly into the menu automatically. So this is like, I don't know where it is. It's in here somewhere. And it may not even be called Thunderbird, is one of the challenges, to find the individual icons. We're just going to go ahead and say we're not going to worry about changing the icons right now. Just hit OK, and you'll see that it'll add. No, I do not want to add it to the launcher, and it will add right here. Now it's a blank one right now, but you'll see that it does still pull that up. And usually what I do to find the icons as I'm doing this on Cinnamon is I'm just going to right click over here. You know what? Actually, you have to do it from the menu edit mode. So configure the menu. Hit the menu button, open the menu editor, and then open Internet. Little bit of a hassle here. So hit Properties, and now I can come over here and see where this is. So Thunderbird's under User, Share, and Pix Maps. So I can right-click down here, Options, Edit, click this. What was that? User, Share, and Pix Maps. And Thunderbird. Hit OK. OK. And now you'll see we have our Thunderbird icon there. So that's how I'd usually do that. That's a limitation on Cinnamon. Other than those little limitations, I think what I like is how easy it is to remove, edit the panel items, because everything is done as one group as you turn on the settings here. Versus Mate, you don't have that option. So that is, that's that. Okay, now we're going to boot up our system here. And you can see where we have everything, and we're going to go ahead and start this up, and then this will boot up our system into Linux Mint Mate. And these are both 18.1, so the latest ISOs were verified, etc., etc., etc. There's my awesome password called Mint. We always get this startup screen. We can disable that like this. Like I said, it already came in here and made some changes to make this kind of resemble the other one, Cinnamon. I don't like the. I mean, if you're looking for the best modern flashiness, you're not going to get quite as much of it on Mate as you are going to get on Cinnamon. That's kind of one of the reasons I like it, is the more modern. One of the things that you can do, though, that you can't do on Cinnamon that I know of, and if somebody knows how to solve this, let me know. If you right-click at the very beginning of your app windows, so you can see here where our basically our window manager is, and you right-click this, you can actually pull up your system monitor from here. That's something I miss being able to do on the taskbar of Windows. You can see here that we're only running on about 650 megabytes, meaning that Mate is a little bit less system heavy. I want to say it's about it's about 200 megabytes lighter than Cinnamon. So not massive, significantly lighter. But if you do have a low amount of system RAM, then you might want to go ahead and make the use the Mate version. Overall, they're pretty much the same. The menus differ a little bit, although you can do a lot more with the menus in Cinnamon. I really like the menus, the menu setup in Cinnamon by default. You can change it, and in fact, it is Cinnamon that Makulu uses to sort of mimic like a Windows 10 type menu, because you can add a more advanced Cinnamon menu and do a lot of neat stuff with it. That being said, I'm not going to go into all the details about how you would configure the menu. I have a video on a little bit more of the configuration options, and if I can remember what it is and where it is and to do it, I'll go ahead and card it when I can. As far as changing around the themes and such, well, first let me look for settings. So this is what I was talking about. I don't see a overall unified settings panel. If it exists, let me know. I could not find it right away. So you can come in here and hit the administrative tools and see everything, but I kind of miss that there's not one unified place where I can go. And again, it might be in here somewhere. I've never found it if it is. So to go ahead and change the theming around, you want to hit the appearances, and this is what I was saying, it's a little bit more complicated to change around your icons. Right now I'm on custom. I think, let's see, what was the detail? I think the default, I can't remember what the default was on this. Might have actually been Linux Mint X, might be the default on the Mate. So I think the system started like this. A few of the things were moved in different directions and whatnot, but what I did is I just came down here and clicked on the theme that I wanted, which changes all your themes around, but again, it gives you the icons, and I don't like these modern looking icons. So what I like to do is I want to use this basic color formatting, and to change the icons you want to hit the customize button here, and this will allow you to do more adjustments to your windows and colorations. Here's your window borders, and your icons are over here. So I like the GNOME icons, so I'm going to select those icons, but with the Linux Mint Y darker overall theme. So now I get effectively the same thing as I had in the other computer. So the theming setup is the same. Background, nice and easy. Just grab the backgrounds that you want. A lot of good backgrounds to pick from. Oh, that's a nice background. Let's look at that. All right, so that's how we make our adjustments here. Again, as far as which one you'd want to use, it's going to be your total preference. They're both great desktops. I like the more modern-y feel of Cinnamon. And you know what? I think notifications. I'm not sure if I don't use Mate enough to know. Okay, let's see. Pop-up notifications. Okay, so we do have pop-up notifications here as well. I wasn't sure if Mate had pop-up notifications. I don't use Mate enough, and I usually turn off notifications on several of the systems that I use. As far as theming your panel, this is the part where I think Cinnamon does it a little bit better. There's no one unified place, and even your launchers, you only can do one launcher at a time. So to add a new launcher, I have to come down and I have to add a launcher, and I'm trying to remember how. Let's see. Okay, so you want to hit right-click somewhere that you're not on an icon or anything else. Hit Add to Panel, and then you want to do an application launcher. Okay, so here I can actually just come right down and find something. So let's add transmission. Hit Add, and now, well, it added 2 copies of it. I'm not sure why it added 2 copies. Okay. We're going to go ahead and do an alternative way of adding an application launcher. Let's see. I want to say no, that's not the way I did it. Oh, there was the custom launcher. So the custom launcher is very much like the one on Cinnamon. So hitting the custom launcher, let's do Pigeon. I'm not sure if I'm spelling that right. Am I spelling pigeon right? Pigeon. Okay. And here is where Mate does it better than Cinnamon, because you type in the command, it automatically links your icon, and now it adds it. Now, to add those into the main launcher, I have to right-click. They're already unlocked, so I'd have to make sure that the lock is dechecked, and then I hit the move, and then I can drag it where I want it. Now, the problem is this guy right here, you can see that gap. That's that window manager. So if I open something up, like transmission, you'll see that my window manager is locked in there. And that's because this guy is kind of out of the way. So if I have to right-click this guy, unlock this, I have to move this somewhere else, right-click this, move transmission, move that where I want it, and then move this all the way back here. Right-click lock, right-click lock, right-click lock, and now if I load it up, you'll see that I have my view. So it's a little bit more complicated making adjustments to your panel in Mate. But again, just like in Cinnamon, it doesn't make a real big deal. You do it once, you generally get your panel taken care of, and you're generally set to go. So I wouldn't call that a huge negative on either system. Side by side, they're about the same. You have the similar applications. You can see, in fact, I pretty much think every application's here. You'll have the same applications. You'll have a lot of the same functionality. You have the same setup. You have the same themes to pick from. Mate's, in my opinion, in places a little harder to set up, except in Cinnamon, the icons on the launcher are a little bit harder to set up. The Mate is a little bit lighter on your resources versus Cinnamon's a little bit heavier, but with Mate, you get what feels almost a little bit like an older system versus Cinnamon, you get what feels like more like a modern system. But a lot of that's just down to the CSS anyway. So there is a brief comparison between Linux Mint Mate and Linux Mint Cinnamon. I hope I was being very objective there. Both systems very snappy. Both of them work out of the box. I didn't have to fight these at all. And I'll tell you, I was actually expecting this system to take a while to set up because the last 4 or 5 distros I installed on this thing, they just took forever to install. And for whatever reason, this guy was installed in less than 5 minutes on my desktop. So There is your configurations. I guess let's look at a couple other things here. Okay, we can create a launcher. Where's this going to go? Let's do Firefox. I'm not sure if this is going to go on the desktop. I'm just going to play a little bit now. Okay. Okay, so that gives me a launcher. So adding desktop icons to the desktop is cool here. I'll have to double check if we can do that. So let's try that. I've never actually tried to do that in Cinnamon. So here, of course, we have our right-click to create a document. Open in terminal. You know, here's something to look into. Let me look at the desktop. This is Casia, which I don't know much about Casia. Let's see how easy it is to make adjustments here. So it looks like I have toolbars. There's an extra pane. Okay, I can toggle hidden files just by Control H. Not seeing a very easy way to adjust the size. Oh, yeah, nope, never mind. There it is, right there. I can adjust the size of my icons here. I can do an icon view or a list view or a compact view. So that's pretty nice. I can still do a location here to get into a different location. So, okay, so the File Explorer is pretty nice. Let's see if I can open something as root. That is one of the things that is extraordinarily useful on Linux Mint Cinnamon. Okay, I'll open as administrator. Okay. So now you can see that here it's as super user, so I can still open things up as super user and administrator. So overall, you know, this system is, I would have no problem using this. If someone said to me, you're not allowed to use Cinnamon ever again, I think I'd move to this. This is pretty nice. Pretty nice, pretty snappy. So there's that. Let's go ahead and shut this down, and we're just going to see if I can add those. I've never actually tried to add a shortcut to my desktop. One of the first things I always do on any computer is remove the shortcuts on the desktop. So, okay, I know I can add desklets. Okay, so there's a launcher desklet. Okay. I guess I can do that. So here, though, I'd have to come over here, drag it over somewhere, double-click it, single-click it. Okay, so that was easy. I was actually expecting a little bit of a fight, but... Okay. So there's that. All the main features. It looks like the Cinnamon does have a little bit more options. You can see the open as root option here. Here's your create new options. I've never put anything in the template document, template folder there. Desktop settings, change desktop background. They do have desklets here, which Mate does not have. So if you want to have little things, let's look at desklets real quick in case that makes a difference for you. So the clock, you can put a clock on your computer. So you can do that, and you can configure it different ways. We can do a digital photo frame. And there's also some online ones you can do. So if you want to do something like this, just with a weather desklet, you can do that. Sound, there's a comics viewer. Very similar to the KDE platform where you can add items to it. I'm not a huge fan of them, so I'll take those off. But anyway, there's your side-by-side comparison between Linux Mint Mate and Linux Mint Cinnamon. Both very respectful operating systems, both clean, easy to use, lots of fun features and options. Overall, no real issues. But somebody did ask for that, and there we go. I talked long enough that you got to see all three of the desktop images. If anybody wants any of these, I will be glad to post them somewhere. You can probably grab them right off the banner on my website at switchtolinux.com. If you right-click on the scrolling banners, you should be able to save these. Don't remember what quality images I put up there. But with all that being said, this has been Tom, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.